to be here.
It's wonderful to sit down and talk because we spend our life always on the move, traveling, doing so many things in different countries. We have probably 10, 15 minutes to chat about something, but there is not much to talk about it because, each of us has a different priority and different duty
Of course. You know what I love?
to take care of.
I love that pretty much me and you, we had a very similar journey in London. We have similar age, similar achievement as well. I remember, and similar stages in life, because you were an amazing bar manager and a lot of great talent work for you, a lot of great bar team in London. And we're talking about probably 15 years, 10 to 15 years ago. We're getting old.
I start to feel old.
And I think as well I've done a decent job in the past 15 years in London and a little bit around the world, of course, by inspiring bartenders and managers and so on. And then at one point we all both approach a different layer of this industry, which is actually the brand side of it. And we've both been inspired by two of the best top players in this industry, right? So
Absolutely,
you were working for Giuseppe
absolutely.
Gallo and I was working for Giancarlo Mancino. And this
We
was...
love you guys. We
love
love
you
you.
guys.
We love you.
And this was such an inspiring time of our journey in our industry, in our life.
Absolutely.
So each of us had some very interesting stages and pretty much at a similar time. So it's always been very fascinating. And here we are today, to
In
chat
a formal way.
in a formal
In
way.
a formal way.
To chat about life.
1-to-1, chatting about life and trying to inspire the new generation of bartenders out there, because the whole point of the podcast, it's trying to inspire as much as we can, because we have so much to share. We went through high, we went through low, but then, if we share it, maybe someone can get it. And
life is an up and down, right? So you go up, you go down, you go up
Absolutely.
again, you go down again. The important is that you never give up, right? You never give up. You always keep your focus point towards the very end of your goal. And you don't lose focus to towards your goal.
Keep pushing. Even the
keep
door,
pushing.
if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
say it's a push.
Push.
If the door says push, you need to push through life, right?
Sometimes you gotta pull,
Uh,
but
Don't think about the pull. Think about the push. That is the most important.
True. But if you wanna laugh a little bit about the pull and push, I think as well that our industry needs some time, some push and some pull, in the sense of having obviously moments for yourself, for your loved ones, for our family, and that makes it very even healthier. I remember very, very long time ago a masterclass from the guys from Hincock, and they were obviously in that side of the world, in Northern Europe. There is a lot of probably respect for the time of work and worker rights, and we we are both 38. We are both 38 years old. We come from a generation of working hard, head down, and keep pushing, and obviously the life balance. If you want to go ahead with keep working in a very healthy way in our industry, it's very important. And is a mental understanding, a mentality that needs to change.
And a switch, because yes, as you said, we are coming from really hardworking mentality.
Yeah.
I guess our parents, they taught us you need to work hard. That's
Totally.
it. But then we worked really hard and we start to work smarter. And that is what I think is defining even our generation, because we saw a massive potential in many aspects, in many ways, that it turned into opportunities,
Yeah.
And I would like to recall on this, and I would like to find out a little bit from you, because you've been pushing really hard like a crazy horse, I will say, from 1987. Is that correct?
1987, yes. That's when I was born.
How has been your beginning?
Yeah.
You are from Italy. We are Italian guys. If you didn't understand, we're moving our
realized
hands.
from the accent. Pretty much 18 years around the world, or at least outside my country, mainly in London, yes, but also work-wise a little bit everywhere.
But how was your childhood?
My
That's where we
childhood
need to start from.
was great. I grew up with an amazing woman, which was my mother. My dad was a bit far away. He lived in Thailand for 30 years of his life, and so eventually, only later down my 18 or 19 years old is when I managed to visit him in Thailand.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, beautiful childhood in a countryside in the region of Piemonte, with some southern roots, as most of the people from Piemonte are from Calabria or Sicily.
Cioè,
Uh,
Calabrian and Vermouth together.
yeah,
The
so you
two
see,
things.
like got lot of combination. My family is a mix of Italy because my grandmother and grandfather from dad's side is Sicily and Calabria, where my grandmother from the mother side is from Basilicata. Funny enough, so the link with Giancarlo as well.
It was a destiny.
It
It
was a
was
destiny. It
written.
was a destiny. And then from grandfather, it's purely Piemonte. So, and I was born and raised near Torino. So really near 40 minutes to Torino, the city of Vermouth. It couldn't be any better. When at one point, after probably 12 years after hospitality, I jumped into a Vermouth experience. But we will tell you a little bit about that in a second.
Yes, yes.
Going back to my childhood and my background in Italy, it's been just lovely. And I early starts
When did you
at work.
discover that you felt like really passionate about hospitality? Because this is how your journey.
Well, I remember at the age of 15, pretty much. My mother had a second divorce, actually, with my sister father. And I was 15. I was very young. And I felt like it was good and important for me to be financially independent. So I went to work. Thanks to my mother, we found a job after school in a restaurant, and I was a waiter. And I was 15, 16, probably illegal. I don't know if it's
Nothing is illegal
if
if they don't catch you in Italy.
yeah, true. But it was a great experience. It was very educational, and ultimately I done it for very little, but it was very important.
And you
Then
work behind the bar?
I was on the floor. I was just serving dishes like a real runner, not even taking
Okay.
order. I remember just like very much just delivering
What
dishes.
did you like the most about that?
Well, nothing. Absolutely nothing. I was scared. It was new. I wanted to go play with my mates. Not much, not, to be honest. But I felt responsible, and I felt that was important, right? Because I was getting the first little money. Probably that was the only very real positive things, that I was getting some real money. Then I moved to London at the age of 18 after school, not for hospitality. I moved to London because I wanted to follow my study at high school. They were all about communication, all about sociology, psychology, and my family also come from this kind of background. My mother and my father's sister, and so on. So psychologist. So then I thought, yeah, I'm going to London and I'm going to start uni there, psychologist or communication. There were a lot of different options. I was taking my year of like break, going to London, but then with the idea of moving towards the university in London.
What has been pushing you to go to London? I mean, you had the desire to escape where you were coming from because you didn't want to fit in, or because you felt like
No,
just
no,
like it's just an experience. I go 6 months and I come back.
yeah, differently to many friends, and also don't forget that I moved on January 2007. So before what everyone defined as a crisis, the financial crisis of
Yes,
the
I remember I arrived in
2008.
2008.
Yeah. So when a lot of people at the time when I left, everyone was asking, "Why are you leaving? Why are you leaving this beautiful country?" And I was like, actually just curious about life. And then back to our career, the curiosity is something that I will mention again, because the curiosity is where really take you further, really take you that blink in your eye when you're curious about something. That curiosity is what takes you further. And I was just curious. I was curious about the world. I was curious about London. I moved out of London after a few months. I went to Spain, went to Barcelona, I went to live there. Then I moved back to London. Then I went to South America. I went to Thailand to see my family, my dad. So I did a lot of travel. The first few years of my life weren't about hospitality. But realized one thing. When I moved to London, in the very first place, I was a kitchen porter. My English was terrible. Then eventually I was admiring and hoping to be going to a better job. And the obvious further step was either growing in the kitchen as a commis chef or something, or eventually I found a job as a waiter. So then, obviously, I started my journey in as a kitchen porter, then moved as a waiter. Funny enough, like I thought being a waiter was much better. Then eventually, the place I moved on to, it was a very bad restaurant with terrible experience, and my life was very much about the travel. It was very much about curiosity, discover new culture, new languages, new people.
But how did you make a living? Like, how did you make the money?
Bartending. So that's all hospitality in general. That's why from being a kitchen porter, I remember at one point I was working as a barback, glass collector, chef in a pub, doing burgers and chips. So very easy, busy, like super fast, super easy dishes. And then as a kitchen porter, glass collector and chef in that pub. So by doing this job, I managed to go and travel all around the world for the first few years. I was very super busy with a lot of things, events, and so always very much. And that was the very first 2007, 2008, 2009, pretty much up to, I would say, 2010. When probably the real game changer happened. I was working in a terrible pub in Houston, where really old people were just like, I mean, old people, it sounds rude, but it's like an old generation of crowds, just really.
Why, mate? Why?
You know, mate?
Why, geezer?
And then again, it was still that kind of feeling and vibe which was enthusiastic about, because it was new for me, and then again, great experience. But two people, they're now good friends of mine, Chris Dennis and Kieran. Now I don't remember Kieran's surname, but these two good friends of mine, they walked into that pub, and eventually they were organizing a cocktail competition in Camden Town. So they said, in that pub, I had quite a lot of experience already, like 2-3 years experience in cocktail bar. Very little in a way, but better than what the average of that pub was. And the pub owner was actually very, very proud of me and having me in the team. And so he said, like, they invited us for a cocktail competition. And he said, yes, I've got the man. He turns back to me and he said, Pietro, should we do it? Never done it. I was like, but yeah, why not? Let's do it, And I entered that world, a lot of faces and friends, if I remember back then. It was at the Lockside Lounge in Camden Town, and I still remember many of these people are now good friends and professional in this industry, from great beverage director of great companies to drink writer to global brand ambassador. So they made amazing career. We were all on our 20s. Doing that cocktail competition. Funny enough, the only cocktail competition that I've seen in my life were through World Class and Salvatore Calabrese and Peter Dorelli, so the maestro, and everyone obviously was super well dressed. And I didn't contextualize the fact that it was in Camden Town, it was a local competition, it was a very much friendly. So I went in full suits in Camden Town and realized very, very fast that absolutely no one was in suits. People with hats, tattoos. And I was new in London. I didn't know anything about London. I didn't know anything about Camden Town. It was just a very, very embarrassing moment in a way.
But I think it's been one of the best moments.
Well, amazing.
Because you brought your personality. I think the value there is the fact that you managed to bring what you've been seeing around the world. It was like, I'm gonna do that. That's no matter what the environment
is. I needed to be at that level. I was very young. I was in my 20s. So, even wearing a suit for me was new. But I felt it was kind of like showing the importance that I was giving to that particular event, right? Years later, I've done many competition. That was the one of so many competition I've done in my life. Every month I was entering one. I eventually won the second and third place on my second and third competition. That gave me a lot of recognition, a lot of courage, confidence,
So
to
you
say.
felt like I'm valuable for
So,
this.
like you said, actually, what I'm doing, it's not completely crazy. It makes sense. And actually, my recipe are appreciated. And my personality, then obviously, you know how competition works, right? So it's not never about just the recipe, just the drink. It's about the personality. It's about how you engage, not just with the judges in front of you, but with people behind
The
you. How you
storytelling
can
you bring
really
along.
just get the crowd with you. I tell you another story about competition that just comes to my mind, and it was funny, and that was very funny as well, because I was doing a cocktail with a cachaça brand. I'm not going to mention the brand, but cachaça brand. What do I do? What do I do? I used to love that song, Velho Barrero. No, that was actually the brand. Velha Infancia. Well, it makes sense. Why not? Velho Barrero, Velha Infancia. Same name, similar name. And so I thought that has to be the name. And the song behind, so was Velha Infancia, means like childhood, something. I don't know. I forget my Portuguese. But, and so it was a drink with milk, white. Back in the days, obviously, we used to have glass shaker, right? One of the it wasn't like just metal tin, it was the glass shaker. And there was a boutique bar show during the day. The competition was in nighttime. I don't know, the enthusiasm and everything. So when you shake, everyone, there was about 200 people crowd looking at that competition. Shake, yeah, everyone started shouting, clapping. So I shaked really hard. I was super excited. The competition was going really well. I was I've got this. It wasn't on my first one. I was actually quite confident. By then, it's been a few years. Shake, boom. And the shaker breaks. White all over the judges. Silence. 200 people silence.
Hey man, what? Yeah. You were the only one speaking, probably.
I stay quiet for a second as well, because I needed to process what happened, what just happened, right? And then I remember that I've just said, okay, point towards like the judges or one of them, how much time I've got left? 1 minute and a half. So I obviously done all my speech by then. So I look at the crowd and I say, if you guys never been to Wax Jambu on a Saturday night, now I'm going to show you what Wax Jambu is on a Saturday night. Everyone started rough, like, yeah! The crowd went on fire again. The judges started laughing. I made a drink in 1 minute. So I also made a kind of like speed challenge in it. I didn't win the competition, obviously, but I think if everyone needed to remember a moment of that night, was that.
Yes.
And also, how do you recover from such an embarrassing moment where you just smashed the Boston glass with a white cocktail with milk all over your judges?
I think like that is like your surviving mode that kicked in.
Comes out naturally.
It's like some people, they freeze and they don't act. Some
Yeah.
people that they went through hard things in life, they go through like it would be a piece of butter, because this is nothing for you. This is like it doesn't bother you. And that is just like it makes everybody understand that in life, for real, you need to keep pushing.
You keep
That's
pushing.
no matter what happens.
Yeah.
That's
yes.
no matter what. Just be out there
It's like-
and keep making it, because you have one chance and one chance only. Do you remember when Stanislav used to say, you have one chance to get me engaged with you.
Yeah.
Only one.
Yeah.
A one only. And actually, I'm sure the judges will remember for the rest of your life,
Yeah.
for what you've been doing. But even the crowd. And as I always say, competition is great because you're going there with the purpose of winning, right? But sometimes it's not meant to be. But it's much more important that you are remembered than actually a winner.
Yes, totally.
Because that, it gives you like, an extra length of time to invest your energy, and it's gonna be not today, it's not gonna be tomorrow, it's not gonna be after tomorrow, but sooner rather than later you're gonna get it right. And I believe totally that showing your personality, it's the most important part when it comes to when you're under pressure. You need to show. And if you don't, then it's a lack that potentially needs to be worked on.
It's not impossible. You can definitely work on it. You get confident by the time. I remember almost when in the very, very, very first mojitos or daiquiris I was making, I was almost hiding in pubs where there was like 3 cocktails on the menu, and like, oh no, you want to do the beer, like that was actually a very short time of my life, but it happened. Like there is a very short moment, and then more you do it, actually more you push yourself out of that comfort zone, and you actually say, no, I do that drink. How is that? How do I make it? And also the being humble and say that you don't know something is the best way to grow. And very often we are proud, especially bartender is a category of human that are very proud of what they do, and it's beautiful. And then also equally sometimes challenging, because if you don't know certain things that's supposed to be known and obvious, then you're not as good as your colleague or whatever. And I don't know if I can explain myself very well with that, but I think that sometimes you and it happened to me.
But you compensate, because sometimes personalities compensate that part.
Yeah.
You don't have to be the best. What you have to be, you need to be yourself.
Yeah.
And help yourself to learn.
Yeah.
Constantly. And doing so, like, is really helpful for the people around you, because they can detect some information. But as well, like, sometimes, the personality is the most important.
Totally.
Like, I tell you this. Yes, I'm spending my time, in between my work. So, as you know, my brand, me and Simone and Stefano, which is Santoni, then my podcast, my little baby. But then, I found like 1 hour most of the time where I'm training and whatever. And what I like the most about the fact that I'm training is because I'm learning so many things from others. But there is one thing that I'm sharing all the time, is the sense of hospitality and personality. Because people can learn techniques.
Yeah.
But they can't learn personality. And if you give in the right advice to young kids, 17, 18, 19, 20, because I'm training with those kids, you will see them growing. After 2-3 years, I see certain like kids that have been joking and playing with them, like a father, or like a uncle, like an old uncle. And you see them growing, and now they show me personality. And I kind of like it,
Of course.
And it's really good that you had it already, because it means like, you're tough. But do you think that this sense of personality that you acquired, for example, in a competition that you had to go through, it's something that leads you to work in international places? Because this has been your first experience. After that, you've been working many other places, right?
Of course. Definitely. The personality.
What's the key?
Key to me, as I told you earlier, I think is really the curiosity. To make you push, that's never enough. Never enough. I want more, and that curiosity of discover more, travel, more places, more techniques, more school of thinking, of living this industry. In each of the stages of wherever you are in your career in this industry. Because we were chatting, and one of the most beautiful thing about our industry to me is the fact that you have so many different layers of opportunity, of jobs, of titles, of the same, so many shade of the same industry that you can have. You can be a talent bartender, a superstar bartender that achieved a lot in techniques, in pushing boundaries with new techniques. And we have friends, very well, that our friends have been doing incredibly well with come up with really new techniques that they're revolutionary in our industry. But you can also be having that brand mentality and vision, anticipating trend like our other friends in brand side did. Or once again, you can be a commercial, you can be like someone that does seminars and just bring the community together. You can start doing, how many people start doing their own bar shows? They start bringing the community around the world into and giving spotlight to city they never been known about. That look at the job that the guys did with Athens, the community of Athens did, and the Greek community did in Athens, and or our community. It's actually everywhere around the world, but we never really focus up until probably the last few years on our own country, and so on. So I think it's really just like a combination of it.
If you will define yourself with a quote, what a quote will be?
Well, to a quote, I did use this quite a lot. It's not my quote, but I truly live that and believe that. And is if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, and it is so true, because because we've been going through so many tough moments in our job, but in fact they never really felt so tough. If you look back, maybe you think like, if I think at moment in my career where I've I remember, and I mentioned one moment that was tough for me in my career was when I lost my dad, and I kept
Sorry to
working.
hear.
I kept working, and I had my head supervisor, my head bartender, keep coming late because of the dog, because of the girlfriends, because of the doctor, because of that, because of so many excuses. And at one point, one day, I looked at him in the eyes and I say, "No one knew." And I say, "Mate, I lost my dad 2 weeks ago, but I'm here and I'm here smiling. So no matter what you do in life, if you do accept your responsibility, you keep going for it and you push. If you don't, otherwise, we're human. We don't have to be all the time up there and pushing, right? There are moments in life where you can stand. And for me, that specific moment was good and healthy. Keep working and take my head away from it, and put that mask and smile, because actually was a therapy for me, but also, so every one of each of us, but it was also tough at the same time. But every one of each of us have their own way of curing these things. But the most important things, and I'm sorry that our industry is cruel on that sense, but people are coming through our doors in our bars, in our venues to have a good time, and no one wants to hear sad people because it's not what meant to be. It's cruel, and as a colleague, as a teammate, as a friend, as a brother, we can hear each other, before and after work. We can support each other. We can go for a beer. We can talk to each other. You can come to my. I've hosted as a bartender, as a bar manager, as a director of bars. I've hosted my colleagues, my bartenders in my room, in my house, if they needed to. But at work with clients, in front of clients, we are not sad. We don't argue. We don't have sad, tired faces. Back to what I was saying about the Hincock and the fact that they were talking about how balanced our lifestyle need to be. And when I joined that masterclass years and years ago, and they were talking about working 4 days a week, because those 4 days they want them clean, sharp, happy, relaxed, not tired. It's important. And when you work in 60 plus hour a week and you don't see the daylight in a city like London that has probably 3-4 hours of daylight in the winter time, it's can be depressing, can be tiring, can be difficult. Having your uniform nice and clean. If you don't work for an hotel, you don't have the laundry. You need to do it yourself, and it takes time, and we are not good at it. So many challenges, so many things, but
You're really driven as a
you gotta
personality.
do that.
Wh- Okay, now I got the point that you saying you need to deliver,
Yeah,
and this is I feel, tell me if I understood correct, you feel like the bar is more like a theater, is a show. Nobody deserves
exactly.
to get your personal life involved. What they need to deserve is a great time. Okay, how do you fire yourself to be so driven to not think about it and keep on going? What's the secret behind, or what's the method that you're applying? What's the things that maybe you can share it and people out there can use it as well?
Absolutely. I've been doing this job for 20 years now. It's been 20 years. I started as a kitchen porter and I now work for as a head of partnership at 50 Best Bars. Through being the director of bar at the Mandarin Oriental, being a consultant across different great companies and great groups, five-star luxury hotels from one side of the other of the world. But today, I feel I'm at the beginning of a journey, a new journey. I walk into an office of a media company and I never studied media. I lived and breathed this industry since I was 16 and I'm now 38 years old, but I never worked in a media company. I never worked I never had colleagues that were writing articles, that were planning strategically how this industry should be going, where should be going, how should be, and therefore I feel like the beginning of another journey. So is that humbleness, I believe is the word, that brings you down to keep reminding you every day that you know that much compared to what you could know tomorrow. Like, regardless how much you know today, there's so much more that we still haven't learned, that you want to learn, that I would love to learn, that I would love to know. I'm only been 3 times, 3 times in Japan. I've never been to Taiwan. I'm only been last year to Korea, to South Korea, Seoul, where I've learned so much from so many different cultures on just our specific matter of industry, for example, and so on, and South America. And so the world is beautiful. There's so many talents around the world. They're doing the same as we do, but with different context, different cultures, different background. But they, in their side, I remember when I went to Sidecar in India, and they treat me like a king. It was insane the level of hospitality the Indian has, and the community that is so strong and so beautiful. Like they spread so much love, not just in India but all around the world, and so on. So there are so many things that still we don't know, that if that curiosity is what push you further, it's to me personally is the key.
So for you, the fuel is the curiosity, is
Yeah,
what pushing you.
yeah,
It's impressive, the explanation of it, because I wanted to reconnect myself, because I know you're really passionate about
yeah,
Japanese culture.
yeah,
I know that you are really much in love with whatever is happening, especially in the Asian hemisphere, let's say.
exactly.
And I wanted to reconnect and say, like, is this belief come from there? And it seems to be that actually they
So
do come from
fascinating.
there, like the fact that you've been observing, understanding. It does not matter what you know today, but it's what you want to know tomorrow, because what you know it.
Yeah, yeah. Is that kind of like Japanese mentality where you perfect every day. There are a lot of bartender. There is let's say a custom in Japan to choose one cocktail and doing it every day of your shift. At the beginning of your shift, it's not everywhere. I don't know if it's still very much the thing in Japan, but I've been told that was very much a thing for certain bars, and the fact that I found it so fascinating, because it's about perfecting every day. And imagine you have your view carrere that has few ingredients, obviously, or even just a Sazerac that is instead just very much more basic. But how many things you can change of that simple drink, like a martini or Sazerac. But then you have so many other little things that you can do in order to make it different every day. You do it with white sugar, you do it with brown sugar, you do it with Moscovado, you do it with and you have 3 different drinks just by changing the sugar. Imagine. Maybe you can add one little tiny drop of a different bitter, or you do it 50-50, or you do it rye, you do it,
And you will get another
so
experiment,
many, but unbelievable. Even look at the Negroni with different gin or different vermouth. it's I don't remember who, but there was a bar they call it the Infinity Negroni. They make this menu, call it the Infinity Negroni menu, because they just listed the number of gin, bitters, and vermouth, and then you make your own, and it's beautiful. If you're a bartender, you have fun with this menu because you pretty much know probably how bitter those bitters
Yes.
are, what
And you know what the
flavor.
outcome it could be.
Right, you know that. So you know that the gin is very on the sweet and berry side, junipery, or this other one is very fruity, or like so.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I wanted to ask a few things. I would like to go back to your like journey, but there is something which is really interesting right now. So I will go straight to the point, and then eventually we will go back. How important is for you education when it comes to hospitality? Like education, I mean, like learning about drinks, techniques, is the most important part, or it's an important part, or education is. You continue the sentence.
Gift. Education is a gift. Always. It's the message that you give to your team, and this is how, when I think about this, it's just make me in love, because it's almost one of the way that I realize if you are suitable for my team or not. When I was employing my team at the Aubrey, for example, I remember that if there was an element that wasn't fit and it wasn't right for the team, it was naturally getting out, expelled by the team, not even by the management. Why? Because every Wednesday before work, we were meeting as a team. I wasn't able to pay them because of budget restriction and so on, and I wasn't able to pay 10 people, 12 people or more if they wanted to be joining, because we were opening this meeting to the rest of the team, to the floor, but it was obviously a bar team meeting that every Wednesday, as much as possible, of course, was taking place with either a team that each of us needed to kind of fill. Everyone had his task, training, meeting, time for them to speak, to have their voice, but obviously wasn't paid. And most likely was a training as well, combined with the meeting and so on. So everyone was keep attending that meeting, spending their day off, their time off, coming 2 hours early, because maybe the meeting was at 2 and the shift was at 6. The meeting is 2 hours with the training, and then what do? You have 2 hour gap. Annoying sometimes, but no, they were spending time there, and maybe they were going to the lab and develop their own recipes. This means dedication. This means the approach that I used to have, and this means the curiosity, and especially the mentality of understanding that we are all here because they're curious, because they're hungry, because they want to be in that training, because they never know, they've never been told how that brand specifically was made or whatever. And so it's the same that I used to be very much. Now I'm still have that curiosity. It's just changed. I'm not that much interested, to be honest with you, to go to the Ram brand that started and how it started. Still amazing, but
it's a part of life, like you've been doing it. It's not that you should be like, it's not my things, but it's great. But you're in a different phase of your life.
Exactly.
Man, we just talk about what you've been doing until that competition, that you break the shaker in front of everybody. But in between that and today, there is a gap of 12 years. And there is so much more that, you've had to go through, and you went through. You've been running places. You've been traveling the world. And then one of the things that you said just right in the beginning, you've been working for someone that has been and he is still a great icon in our industry, which
Yeah.
is Giancarlo Mancino. We love him, like,
Yeah, Giancarlo Mancino has
tell us everything
he's
about it.
been my mentor. After I worked with Danny Zoppi on the cocktail side, and he's been a great mentor for learning and how to approach cocktail and recipes and flavors. Giancarlo Mancino has been the other big mentor of my career in my life. Still, both of them, two amazing friends. And of course, Giancarlo gave me that mentality again, and approach and understanding of this industry on a different level, on a higher level, where the trends are probably made, developed, because ultimately, and this is obviously purely my my opinion, but the demand and the trend is driven by the brand rather than the other way around, right? Could be definitely a good conversation that could go on for hours, but is it the demand that dictates the trend, or is the trend that dictates the demand? And so are these brands, I collaborate a lot with 50 Best, and we do develop great ideas together, activation, great events, and so on. Are they then deciding on trying to support those bars? They collaborate with them in order to have the right visibility, the right success, let's say, right? So it's interesting, and the investment that this brand puts into our hospitality industry. But look, even during COVID, how much the brand being significant, or every time something happened, they are always there with their budget, with their to be also sociably helpful. The sustainable element in our industry is becoming, thankfully, more and more a thing. Uh, at the beginning, it used to be very much a trend, right? Now I think we're all being more conscious that it's not just about the trend, but you probably, by being more sustainable, you are achieving the sustainability on financially as well, like a better sustainability on financial as well, because saving money, saving on certain things also means saving money. Being more careful on the wastage means saving money. Deciding, and make it the most silly example, but taking a metal straw vs a plastic straw, not just gives you a better feeling of luxury, adding probably the metal flavor into your drink, which is something you can play with, but it just actually make you save money because you don't spend money for those straws. And
Yeah.
it's the most simple, silly example, but just to give you an
Give you the
understanding,
point.
no?
But tell me something. What has been the best memory that you had with Giancarlo Mancino?
The best memory that we had with many, many, many. Giancarlo is a man of action. He's the man that, regardless where you are or he is in the world, we used to work remotely. What is nowadays smart working, called smart working. That was done with him many, many, many years ago, because he was traveling all the time. But regardless where he was and the time zone that he was, at my 8 o'clock in the morning, the call from Giancarlo Mancino was, "Walio, what's the plan today?" And it was beautiful because he was following you day by day on your journey. You will never feel alone. You will never feel left or not considered. Every single time I was getting out of a venue, I was having opportunity. And maybe I still have that excitement, right? Because I remember when I walked out some of the most institutional bars in this industry, from the Connaught to the Savoy or the Artesian back in the days, and I managed to close a deal with Mancino or something. I was super, super excited, and he was there. He was there to listen. Obviously, he was there by making it feel and sound very normal. Like, all right, great, all right. I just say that I've made a deal with the Artesian Bar at the Langham. Right, great, fantastic, fantastic. All right, Walio, all right. Speak later, yeah? Good. And I was like, oh, but yeah, it was difficult to impress.
But the fact
Impress
that
him.
he was there is the most important.
Was always there to support.
What has
over.
been your best takeaway lesson from the experience as a global ambassador for Mancino
I
Vermouth?
mean, at the time was me, was myself, Grazia, and him. So we were kind of splitting the world. But definitely is the how practical sometimes in life you need to be, rather than a lot of like great word, great emails, great appearance. Sometimes you need to go straight to the point. Sometimes there is no things to go around.
There is no time
You
for
go.
bullshit.
There's no time for bullshit. You go straight to the point.
Like sometimes I talk to people and they spend much more time in the office and doing
Yeah, yeah,
presentation
yeah.
to talk about what they're about to do. And I'm like, if you go out there and you do it, you spend less time and you get probably
More
a better
result.
return of investment out of it
Yeah,
because you lost the momentum. And this is a strong belief that I do have. Be practical and be a doer.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
different story. And when you have a small brand, you need to be agile
yeah,
because the big
yeah,
corporate, it takes like 3 4 stages before they get to the end of it, and maybe they're gonna do even better than you,
yeah,
but
yeah,
you have the advantage of the time and you can do it, and you can be the little pinball in between things that it can make the things not work exactly as they wish they will, but it works good for your own side.
I mean, the brand has been a tiny little drop in the ocean, then became annoying, then became more annoying, and then it started to become really annoying, and then it started to become the leading brand in this category of vermouth. And if you think of vermouth nowadays, you think of Mancino vermouth.
What do you think
Um,
is the key when it comes to, having a small brand? Because I follow the whole path, and I've been
yeah,
working different brands and before, and I talk many times with Giancarlo in regards of this topic. But what's the key for a small brand, family owned? Let's say
yeah.
this, to grow faster around the world.
Put your face, put your face out there. Be that person that says, "That's my brand. This is me." So be out there, definitely more than anything else. And of course, I mean, if you know the game, it's easier, right? But if you come from this industry, it's definitely easier. I've been in my 20 years in this industry. I've been consulting for so many brand owner that they've been doing completely something else, coming from completely different industry, expecting a return of investment that it's never been the case, because you know that it's not the industry when you have a fast return of investment. It's either when you invest on a bar or when you invest on a brand. There are very few examples they've been so successful and so fast on their return of the investment. And usually, if you want to do that, then you need to play with serious money. If you want a fast return of investment, then you need to play all in, and you go with serious money, and you break the industry with noise in category that are probably strong, and you're competing with monster. So
And what will be the best things to focus on? An on-trade format or off-trade?
it depends who you are.
If you have little money.
If you have little money, you focus on the trade, because the trade love stories, love entrepreneur. They are brave. If you are respectful for this industry will respect you. So if you have little money, go there, spend time with the bartender, be curious about what they do, because it's ultimately is what you need to do to be involved. You need to know as well, right? If you created a brand, if you're looking at the Giancarlo Mancino and he come up with Mancino Secco as the first SQ of then the range of Mancino that then we all know today. But the first product was Mancino Secco. Why? Because he was a bartender and he was tired to use either a French brand or other Italian brand that he wasn't super happy about. He wanted to have his own vermouth, dry with those notes of marjoram, rosemary, thyme, those Mediterranean herbs that were iconic for him. So imagine, and why no one does the secco nowadays? Because the secco is what you do 10 milliliter in the glass. When you do the martini, you rinse the glass and then you chuck it on the floor like like they
But
do
it's
at
out of a
Duke's.
necessity, as you said, like he wanted to have something that will represent his
Yeah,
personality in the glass.
pure passion,
Yes,
pure
pure
passion.
passion. Um, right now, yes, you work for 50 Best and you've been working as a bar manager, you travel the world. But what really excites you today in hospitality?
Well, today does excite me seeing the totality of this industry in a way that after working from different side of the world, from west to east, I think I had seen how this community operates, how this community support or don't support each other, and so I'm keep being fascinated about this global industry moves in different area, different trend, and then the continuous observation and studying, and eventually, hopefully, I want to be a bit pretentious enough to say that we contribute as well. You're right to this industry in different ways. Um, and so being simply part of it is an enormous pleasure, and being contributing into something that could be again in different ways. And I want to mention maybe eventually the WhatsApp group that we've made during COVID to support each other, been now 300 plus members, just chatting about what's happening around the world in our industry. It's amazing. Now it just happen. I don't need to do anything anymore. And it's just there. It's a free tool that I created with a couple of friends by chance, by at the beginning, for a laugh, then became a necessity when we thought, okay, we are in London for probably 15, 16 years back then. COVID happened. Our colleague, our industry needs some support. And that group exploded. Also because the issue was a global issue, so we started to adding friends from Hong Kong, from New York, from Canada, from Germany, Spain, and that became a blog of a community of colleagues. They were just talking, and how do we, at the time, and then it just evolved, and then it just stayed. Obviously, thankfully, COVID is it's a far memory now, and that group stayed in a very natural way without any brand, any interest, any economy value. So many people told me, why don't you turn it into whatever? No, it's there just to have
You don't have to turn everything in a
into
business.
business, into
The other
money.
day they asked me like, how would you see, the brand that you have evolving? Sometimes things that don't have to change.
Come from
They
our hearts. What you're doing here today, it doesn't necessarily always need to have a monetary value. You can tell, and I was telling you this yesterday over the phone, is you can tell that it's pure passion from your side, and it's just
I love it.
you're doing amazingly. It shows, and therefore, like as you said, it's not always everything need to be turned into a business, into money.
Do things because you like to do it,
Exactly.
and you know, the- it's not always money the key, right?
It's never
Uh,
been to me, and I can say lucky enough, because I come from a luckily great family, and uh, my childhood, not my childhood, my years in London or all around the world, I've always prioritized my career, so I don't have actually a family or kids to look after, which means again not having to prioritize sometimes money out of a choice of work or where you go, or how always being the project the number one priority for me. So again, and up until nowadays is still the case. So again, it's never been, even when the call of 50 best came. The salary is great. Obviously, I'm not telling you the salary, but it's been great and I've been well looked after. But I still made my sacrifice towards something else,
of course,
right? And this is because again, money is not my
it's
priority.
not the goal. Like if you have money to do the necessary things,
Yeah.
the rest it's over. Um, I've got a question, and I would like you to define it because nobody better than you that have been interviewed can tell us. What is or who is a brand ambassador?
Who is a brand ambassador? It's a lot of things, and obviously each brand trying to describe it as they prefer, right? Because it's more convenient for
Be
them.
neat. Give it 3 words and then give me an explanation.
3 word: the brand's ambassador is the face of the brand. So number one, you never forget, because again, the face of the brand, because you don't forget that when you start becoming a brand ambassador, people recognize you as the brand ambassador of that brand.
You are the advocate.
The advocate. And therefore, when you're not working, but you go into an event, you go into a bar, yes, it's not your event, but you're representing something. You're wearing a t-shirt, a color, right? So number one, being the face, being knowledgeable about not just your brand, but your category. So knowledge is important. And then I think the most important, again, is your personality. What we were saying earlier, right? So being that leader, that person that really transmit that passion for that category, that knowledge. But all these things are important. But you need to have that charisma, let's say.
And be genuine, I will add.
Genuine is very important.
Because people feel it if you're not genuine about something. And when you're out there and you're advocating a brand, in my head, you need to be genuine. You need to,
Yeah.
you need to say the things true. You can't say things that don't fit.
Yeah. I think that this comes from even even a more deeper thought that comes even before being a brand ambassador. And are you a brand ambassador of something you believe on? Are you deciding to step out from your bar, if that's your background, and you've been working for 15 years in bars? Well, it's probably now the change in the times. At our time, you do these jobs when you've done good 12 years in a bar, right? Now it's in 5 years you're already tired and you're doing consultancies. But it's is that a brand that makes you feel proud? When I was going around the world and I was saying I'm from Torino, where the vermouth come from, and today I'm going to tell you about the story of vermouth.
You put the trademark already on the first sentence,
That's
like
it.
because you make a point, but it is truly here's what it is. And if you will go back in time,
Mhm.
out of all experience that you had, because you've been working as a bartender, as a bar manager, you've been working as a brand ambassador, now you're taking care of all the partnership related to 50 Best, what would you change? And what will be the best advice you will give someone out there that is just starting as a bartender? Or better, is starting to work in this industry?
This is probably a tough question. Especially what did I change? Not much, to be honest. I don't want to sound pretentious, but I think also mistakes are there for a reason. So you do learn for your mistakes, and you do just trying to learn from it, as I said. Um, Advice for someone that's starting now: it's been looking at your podcast. And the reason why is to look at Luca's podcast is because you see all the different layer of people in this industry, what they are doing right now, how they feel happy, how they feel satisfied, regardless where they are in their career. The measurement of or judgment on, are you feeling successful, are you feeling, it's very personal, I think. Like that, yes, society can define it on how much you own or what title do you have, job title do you have. Realistically, you need to be waking up every day and go to work with happiness. And so this is how I would measure happiness, and I would measure success.
What
And
is success for you?
success is exactly that, right? You being proud to work. I remember when I was giving the briefing at the Aubrey, at the Mandarin Oriental, or in other teams, And one of the time, very often actually, I was saying to the team, I was reminding the team to feel proud for what they do every day, how they deliver it. We are considered excellence around the world. Mandarin Oriental, like many other companies, that they are fantastic on what they do every day. And so this is something that for us sometimes became a normality. We do it every day. We do it every day. We do it automatically. But it's not something that obvious. You realize it when you go somewhere else and you don't find certain standard. You don't and therefore it's important to remind your team, your colleagues, to be proud to where they work, because if they are not, then you must change your job, you must change what doesn't make you happy in life and what doesn't make you proud. And therefore that is probably a great advice, just try and being happy to what they do and look at all this beautiful career, because hospitality doesn't just give you one way in for happiness or for success. It's many different layers, many different shade of happiness and success.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree, and yeah, it's difficult to define. Everyone has their own definition. There is no right or wrong.
No.
Um, out of your career, what has been the most challenging time that you ever had, or the biggest, mistake, as you
Yeah,
mentioned, that
yeah,
you
yeah,
made,
yeah,
that you're like, I had to overcome this, and Luca has been difficult as fuck
yeah.
to go through, but here I am.
I mean, probably one of the most challenging moment of my career was actually when I had to combine and deal and be the bridge between two big corporate, which was the project at the Aubrey, and Mandarin Oriental, which was partnering with Maximal Concept, and be that person that connect the two company, and it's almost felt being the kids of two parents, that they sometimes were very happy and sometimes they weren't very happy, and you are in the middle and you're trying to please them both. The biggest challenge very often, I mean, for my personal career, is never been communicating or managing my team, because I always build my team based on mutual respect, and therefore I never been challenged much with that. It's the challenge came always managing expectation and the owner or the owners in any project, whether it is a brand or a bar. As we said earlier, very often investment come from people they invest in many other businesses they don't necessarily know, and they don't necessarily come from this industry, so they would expect to have the same return of the investment, or they would
It doesn't
expect to
work
have.
like that at all. It doesn't work like
I
that.
think if you work in different industry, you will have a faster return of the investment.
Yeah, I think it's for the passion of making feel others at home, because this is what hospitality is. Yesterday we were sitting down with the beverage director of the company of the Four Seasons here
Yeah,
in Tower Bridge, and he was saying, like, what the definition of luxury means. But the definition of luxury is like how we make you feel,
yeah,
and that's what it
yeah,
is the value you give into the gesture.
yeah,
And I could feel this because everywhere anywhere around this hotel I'm walking around, there is someone asking me, is there anything you need? Is Can I carry for you?
yeah,
Or
yeah.
do you need anything else? Where are you going? Which floor?
Anticipate any
Different
need and
anticipation of your needs, and it's unbelievable. And this is a real business for me, like, not just business money wise, but it's the real key point of
yeah,
making
it's
people feel.
inspiring. It's
It's really
inspiring.
inspiring.
Like the level of excellence that gets delivered in this property are insane, insane.
Yeah, it's truly a different level. But now let's leave a little bit the hospitality, because I think we went through quite a lot of point of view, and you've been sharing really wisely, certain inspirational point. Let's jump on, what you're doing today.
Hmm.
Yeah, you work for 50 Best, and you are the head of partnership.
Yeah.
Define for me what's 50 Best. Or let's do it like that. What it is, world 50 best.
I mean, 50 best word or no word, 50 best is a family to me. I like to call it like that very often, right? And I call it and I say it, welcome to 50 best family. It's like, to me, is a family. It's a community, right? Ultimately, if you don't want to call it family, you can call it community, but it's a community of talents. They work so hard every day and they need that moment of recognition that became so important, not just because of the actual awards, of the actual recognition itself, but it's that moment of joy where we celebrate our industry. It's that moment where and if we don't get it this way, if we don't interpret it this way, and sometimes it happens because you get really into the competition, you get really into that list, and you get annoyed if you don't achieve a certain number. I'm not even saying that you are or you're not in the list, but if you are not within a certain number, they get frustrated, and some of our colleagues. And I think to me, it's just to really go back to why we're doing this every day, why we're doing also the ceremony, and and it's about to bring the community together. It's about to celebrate our talent, being proud for our colleague, not just always have to be thinking, oh, I want it to be myself. It's amazing that our friends and our colleague achieved something. It can inspire us, being a little bit less selfish and be a bit more for this community, right?
It's nice the word you're saying, but as well, when you see it from the other side, all the effort that people put, because what I meant, with what the question I made is like, I know that what you're doing is not just related to the bar, it's related as well to the restaurant, right? So the word 50 best is like divided
Yeah,
into two sides,
I
right?
personally look after 50 Best Bars partnerships. So I'm the head of partnership at 50 Best Bars, but we as a team work across all our what we call the verticals. So
Okay, so you look after only the bars.
bars,
Ah,
yes,
okay,
yes.
okay, okay. Yeah, because I made the question like in a way a little bit wider,
Yeah,
just to get the point. Because what is interesting for me is that it's is a media company that look after two sides
yeah,
that they go back to back. One is the chef side and
yeah,
restaurant and chef side, and the other one is bartender and bar side, and that's what I really like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and I like to see these type of things, and I'm like, the hospitality, gathering together,
yeah,
we working really hard towards like the achievement. And as you said, it's true that we probably need to have less ego in regards of achievement, but I
correct.
as well understand the driver that
Yeah,
many bars and
of
many
course.
bartender have. Bartender are really passionate
Yeah, and proud.
and proud and obsessed.
Yes,
It's three
yes.
things that it drives you. Who gives you the power
Look,
to work 12 hours a day, go back the day after, taking care of your guests, going through your day, and go back again for 5 or 6 days a week, if you're lucky, because we know certain scenarios are different.
yeah. If you remember when we were doing these, we didn't had many awards because 50 Best was about to start, and it wasn't as is today. It was
It
doing
was a different
it
thing.
did it great from day one. 50 Best and Class and so many other beautiful platform, their ranking platform. They always been great, but they pretty much all have 20 years. And we've been doing this job for 20 years. So back in the days when we start doing this job, we used to do it, as you just said, 12 hours to look after your guests with this mind for nothing, for no awards, for like your well-deserved salary and full stop. So now, yes, for sure, it's amazing. We're doing this, but as the name says, it's the 50 best. We have 50 spots, right? And therefore, like there's so many beautiful bars and restaurants and hotels around the world. Now we're launching as well 50 Best Vineyard. We launched this year. There's sommelier selection, and we're looking at other formal potential in the future. So I think that the point again of this is to be supportive with your community and not just thinking that eventually you deserve it, because what does makes you different to your colleague that deserves it as well, right? We all work super, super hard. So my message on this specific topic is just be happy for your colleague, for your community, because again, that is the best way to get there. Not being jealous and what we say in Italian, rosicone, because otherwise, it's not really how you grow. It's not really how you be a better person. It's not really what makes you be there and get there. But instead, if you learn and if you think in a positive and critical but constructive way, what brought these people there? Why they are there? What they've done in order to be, because eventually you don't know, but these people, they've been maybe been working harder than you and for longer than you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And look, I just want to give you an example. Look at Dago and Giorgio and the Connaught.
It's been like a era.
I don't know if it's been 15 or more years. I don't know exactly, but it's been a long, long time before they achieved what they achieved.
Yeah. One thing about it, now that you mention it, is really nice because Ago, it gets really emotional on the nights, and every year I go and see him, and I feel him like he's having this journey of
It's
enjoyment.
amazing.
Like he feels extremely proud for the people around you. Like he hug you like so
It's
strong,
amazing.
so deep. It's like unbelievable. And what you say, like this is the proof. Like that probably we need to learn from the generation that came before us,
Yeah,
that they didn't have these, they lived
exactly.
without and with. We lived only with. So
Yeah, yeah.
then they knew what it was, and you live with easygoing, is a part of life, and it's just wonderful. Your chat that we just had, it felt really deep, and I really love it because you really open up and you really said so many things. If you will close this down, everything you said, and would you like to share what is your philosophy about hospitality, life, and what your life journey has been?
A philosophy, a philosophy of something, or probably someone. It's a good question, actually. But, philosophy, it's a very open way of thinking or of interpreting life or career or whatever, because it's almost like thinking, and this is, I mean, I go back to life, but it applies to the career as well. We are very lucky in general to be where we are, to be, I'm saying, I'm looking at myself, to be an Italian born in a very nice little village, very safe, with a beautiful family that love me and grew me up in a beautiful environment, so and then you come to work and you have a great or not great job. But when I was a kitchen porter and I kind of end to where we started, I was 19, and I was probably the most happier person in the world. I was probably happier than now, for instance, in a way, because I was 19 and I looked at Liverpool Street and I went down to, I arrived from Stansted Airport with the TerraVision bus, like
We
uh,
all had to go through that.
unbelievable. Now I'm so lazy that if I don't get, if I'm few stop away from Heathrow, if I don't get my British Airway to Malpensa,
We become
back in the
picky.
days, became big and old, but back in the days, everything was so amazing. This massive building coming from a small village in Italy, everything was new, was giant, and just an amazing experience. So it's very much more happy than nowadays. For instance, I mean, not that I'm not happy. I'm beautifully happy nowadays as well. But because again, it's proportionate, right?
Is the appreciation,
The
for what it
appreciation.
is.
So
So
look at the glass. If I need to finish, look at the glass as we're talking about drinks, half full
at all time.
all the time. Even when you're about to sip it one more time, still look at the fact that you still have your glass half full. Because if you look the other way around, then it doesn't again bring you. It applies to the least it applies to life, the lack of being in the side of the world where we have beautiful things and very lucky and privileged to be in this side of the world, and so on. So look at the glass half full.
What else I can say? Like you said it all. But it's I'm really pleased. I'm really really pleased for this chat, and
Thanks.
this is I guess it's not just inspirational, but it makes me understand personally a little bit more about yourself. But we all coming from different background,
Yeah.
and we are all a cocktail in a way. If you think about it, a mixture of whatever our parents gave us or
Yeah,
whatever we've been living in our hometown.
for sure.
But then in the end, I guess we have something in common. We are here because we want to make it great.
Yeah,
Whatever we do, we want to make it
totally,
good and
totally,
great.
totally, totally.
And
Absolutely.
You're doing fantastic.
Thank you.
So
You
keep
too.
strong,
You too.
brother.
You too. You too.
Fratello, keep pushing like the door. Keep fucking
I love
pushing.
it.
I'm so pleased. Let me give you a big hug,
Yeah.
brother.
How do you do this?
Hug
Love
you
it.